Hello and welcome to White Hat versus Black Hat SEO show. My name is Josh Bachynski. Today I have with me, as always, my co-host Chase Reiner. Say hi, Chase.
Woo!
Chase is broadcasting from a Costa Rica prison. Well, at least that's what it looks like. Do you want to tell us this tale of how you got put into this prison, Chase?
Yeah, I was trying to capture an iguana. It didn't work out.
He tried Black Hat one time.
Boom! And Google put him in the Google jail. So he's in the Costa Rica Google jail for now. On the show with us today, actually, we're triply blessed on the Black Hat side of things. Not only do we have NFG SEO with us, Mike Pierce and Brad Mabry, but we also have Clint Butler with us, who has been on the show before. Say hi, guys.
Hey. Hi, guys.
What up?
Very well done. Say hi, guys. Hi, guys. So today the show could be a little bit more heavy on the Black Hat side of things. We've already been talking about some of this Black Hat stuff. Things like private blog networks and expired domains they've been talking about, which to this White Hat, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Bullshit.
But so they might talk about that a little bit later on. And in fact, NFG SEO is nice enough to tell us a little bit about the Fred update. So the first stuff we usually talk about on the show is what's new in White Hat and what's new in Black Hat SEO. So in a couple seconds, I'm going to turn that over to Brad and Mike, and they're going to talk a little bit about how they've been using their Black Hat SEO trickeries to beat the Fred update. So that'll be very exciting to hear about. And after that, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a segment called How to Use Search Console and How to Use Google Analytics. One of the listeners has been kind enough to send us his site that I can kind of do a bit of a site audit on. And I'm also going to look at his Search Console and his Google Analytics and just kind of point out the stuff that I see. So that's what you got coming up for today in today's show. Now, before I get to that, I know in an earlier version of the show, I said we would talk about the disavow tool. We could talk about the disavow tool today if you like, but I had some evidence that I wasn't quite able to get into a PowerPoint. So I'm probably going to do that a little bit later in a later show, and I'm going to show a bit of a PowerPoint and how I don't think the disavow file, the disavow tool does anything at all. Clint can disagree with me. He has disagreed with me before, and that's fine because that's what this show is all about. So without further ado, let's go right to the what's new in Black Hat SEO. Fred, Fred, take it away.
I can take it.
Brad,
yeah, I can take the name Fred. I am the caveman, so yeah.
We all call him Fred anyways.
Fred Flintstone.
Yeah, I just posted the findings. I just made it live. I had it drafted earlier, so that's live now. Everyone that goes to NFG SEO, I know some people are watching the Hangout from there, nfgseo.com, but I just posted that update if everyone wants to look at the chart. So basically the backstory on the site, EMD, and I heard the EMDs got hit with Fred. Mike and I had disagreements with everyone. We were on the same side, but disagreements with everyone saying, you know, EMDs lost their push that you get from being, or somewhat of a push. They didn't lose all of it, but the initial push that you get. So out of the sites that I'm tracking, I had one EMD drop. So I said, this will be a good case study. So I had registered it in January. So still even now, relatively new. So I built out a quick entity the way Angel shows in the free guide we have up on the site, so anyone can check that out if they want. So I had to.
Sorry, we talked about entity stacking on this show as well a few weeks ago. You can check out a previous show for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I had that. I did a few niche expired domains. I always follow triple T: trust, traffic, and theme. So using that type of expired domain. I did quite a bit of exact match linking on there, or not exact match, but close LSIs. So I probably pushed that a little further than I should have. So then Fred, if anyone that's on the site, as anyone can see, right around the Fred update, it dropped. It was on, I had it up to page 2, like 18 or so. So then it dropped to the 60s. So it bounced, I let it bounce around there for like a month or so. I think it's been around a month since Fred. So when it dropped, I did some link building. I got another expired domain. I backed that up with some Web 2.0s and a traditional DAS format, the way Jimmy Kelly taught me back in the day, to the expired domain. So the Web 2.0s don't go direct to the site. They go to the expired domain to add more relevance, trust, all that stuff, back to triple T. then I sat there and waited because I didn't want to put too much work into it since it was a test site and all that good stuff. And it slowly, it took about a week for the links to kick. So once the links started to kick, it was in 40 to 60, then 30s and 20s, and now it was back up to like 15 yesterday. And this isn't a small term. I just want to put that out there. It's not like a low-hanging fruit type term. It's national term in a top 20 CPC niche. So I try and stick with all my testing. I don't want to leave it just as testing. I want to be able to monetize it if I choose to do so. So I try and stick with top 20 CPC type stuff. So again, everything reverts back to triple T, trust, traffic, theme, as Mike coined that phrase few months ago, but we've been using it for a while. So that's pretty much the rundown of everything. So a big thing with Fred, EMDs don't work anymore, prove they do. Expired domains don't work anymore, prove they do, if you use them correctly. So that's
I will say also that there has been a lot of testing going on having to do with ad removal. And while we all know that ad placement is a part of the algorithm, when it comes directly to sites that were hit around the time of the so-called Fred, whatever you want to call it, ad fixes are not helping sites recover from our data whatsoever. The data that I'm seeing, the sites that are recovering are sites that are strengthening their link profiles essentially. So, I mean, anecdotally, yeah, maybe it's pulling it, but I still always go back to those patents that talk about link quality and traffic. So,
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Brad, were you talking about the EMDs not being a ranking factor?
No, I still think they're a ranking factor. People were saying EMDs don't work at all anymore. I still believe that they do get some push. They just, Google's, I've been in SEO since like 08. Google's always dialed that in and out. I think with the Fred update, they kind of dialed it back a little bit, the effectiveness and the push that you receive from having that EMD.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I feel like, I don't know, if John Mueller says something, you don't necessarily have to believe him, but he's been saying for a while in the Hangouts that, people have asked these questions all the time. It's a reoccurring question. Do EMDs count as a ranking factor? And he says, no, they don't count as a ranking factor anymore. And this was even before the Fred update. So I'm just going to put that 2 cents in there.
Yeah, they're always saying that, yeah.
But that's not quite what's at stake here.
Go ahead, Josh.
Second. That's not quite what's at stake. There's two debates. The first debate, do they give you a boost? Second debate, are they automatically demoted? Or are they put under really harsh restrictions because they were previously misused?
What I have heard is that if you do have EMDs and they're really low quality sites, it'll actually be worse than if you just had a low quality site with not an EMD.
Absolutely, Chase. What it comes down to is the entity that's established around the EMD. If you do the right job of establishing the EMD as an entity, and they do have some protection afforded to it, there definitely can be boosts once those types of EMDs are protected, because it is a top level file name. And to me, top level file names with keywords, no matter if it's the actual HTML file or the PHP file, your highest optimization point is always going to be the top level of the document. And so a domain is the top level of the document, but you need to know what you're doing while using EMDs, because you can overdo certain things. And when you look at local, you look at map ranking, you look at pretty much any ranking, it's hard to put, it's egg, chicken, egg type of thing with EMD. Like, are they weaker now because of how people typically link build an EMD, because it gets a little spammier? So is it the link profile that's actually making the EMD weaker? I mean, it's hard to really place exactly what it is. However, there are just steps to take, like that entity video that Angel Cruz put together, and some of the testing that Jimmy Kelly is doing. You see that there are benefits to EMDs, and it's too hard to say, oh, it's a direct benefit in the algorithm, or it's a side effect of different parts of the algorithm coming together and synergizing, which makes that give you the extra boost. So I can't claim one or the other necessarily, but from the way we structure our campaigns and the way we protect our stuff, there's definitely side-by-side benefits to doing that with an EMD versus not an EMD, essentially.
So let's go back. Sorry, so let's go back to what we're talking about. So basically, what do you think the main factor was? Now, before before I started the Hangout, we thought the main factor there of the recovery from Fred on this expired domain, which is an exact match domain as well. So you kind of are trying to prove a number of things.
Yeah, this wasn't the actual money site was not an expired domain. It was just exact match, brand new registry, everything. I ranked it with expired domains pointing to it.
I see.
Yeah.
So, but the recovery from Fred, we're thinking, because Fred is what people say, that Fred is a quality update. We're thinking that the recovery was from sending good traffic to it, or traffic that seemed to not
links with traffic, in my opinion. Yeah, quality links with traffic, or I mean niche relevant, and they had traffic behind them.
Dude, it's so funny. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've just been really like reading all these articles about Fred, and there's so many different people who are like, this is what Fred is. They're like, it has to do with ads, it has to do with the content, it has to do with links, and it's just so crazy like how like controversial it is right now.
That's because, in my opinion, it's not anything. It's not. Fred is not a thing. Fred's a dialing up of everything, in my opinion. So
yeah, I think it was a number of factors. So people just
that flagged people for that. And but what I'm seeing when it comes to recoveries, most of the recoveries are tied around quality links. And I'm not saying that that's what Fred was about, because personally, I don't believe that Fred was about any one thing whatsoever. I believe it was just turning the dial up a little bit more on machine learning and certain factors in there, in my opinion.
Well, exactly. Fred could just be Panda. Panda is supposed to be rolling now, right?
Yeah, it could be. There's many things that it could be, and that's why the whole Fred name is there, in my opinion. It's the fact that every update from here on out potentially is Fred. We're really just now waiting for doomsday for the dial to go all the way up, and when it comes down to that, when you start focusing on trust, traffic, and theme, then you're really kind of future-proofing. No matter what your tactics are, if you're getting that around your entity, you're kind of future-proofing yourself for when they do fully dial up, in my opinion. So I think if you focus on trust, traffic, and theme, and everything that you're doing is focused on those three things, then you're doing a pretty good job of keeping yourself and your clients safe going forward.
Yeah. So. That's the thing. That's something we talk about often on the show. That even the most black hats of black hats, and I see that today Clint is actually wearing a gray hat, so maybe he's not black hat today. But you still got to be pretty much, unless like we said before when we were talking, unless you're going to be a complete jerk and risk your client sites, you got to kind of be white hat on your client sites. Otherwise, they're going to get into serious trouble.
Well, yeah, if the site is making you money or it's someone else's business, then you have to be responsible for it. You owe that to them. So I'm right along with these guys, and what Angel teaches too is the entity stuff. You make a good entity, it doesn't matter what kind of domain you're using. As long as you've established a trust for your business online, you're going to be all right regardless of what they name the next update.
And I can corroborate that from the white hat side of doing it organically. I've done the same things where a fairly spammy exact match domain was ranking page one, spot number one for many months, if not over a year or two. Mostly because of the conversion rate that it had, and also the traffic and the kind of entity base it had from the social profiles that were filled out organically, and were talking with people and likes and shares and all that kind of stuff going back and forth. Oh, by the way, people are wondering where Steve is today. I mentioned Facebook. People are wondering where Steve is today. He was so embarrassed last week at having to do the chicken dance that he's gone into a drunken stupor, and he's currently at the bar right now. I literally have a text from him. He's at the bar right now drinking. So maybe he'll show up drunk later on. Who knows? It'll be fun for the whole family to watch.
He should do the hangout from the bar.
He's doing well enough to keep sending me like invoice modifications and stuff, so I know he's got his stuff together at least. But you know,
he's not too drunk to bill a client. He's never too drunk to bill a client.
He's still billing people right now. But
that's because that's now you know he's the awesome businessman that we know that he is. Okay, well, thanks very much, guys. I'm going to move on now to kind of the main topic I wanted to cover today, which is both how to use Search Console for SEO and how to use Google Analytics for SEO. So a fellow by the name of Mark, who's in the comments there, he's chatting, was nice enough to supply his site. I'll give you guys the site here if you guys want to take a look and give your 2 cents as to what you think is going on with this site. I'll put it in the chat here. And also, if you guys, I'm going to go through Search Console, and it's just like a 5-10 minute thing of what I think is important to look at in Search Console for SEO, and what I think is important to look at in Google Analytics for SEO. And if you guys have anything you want to jump in with, you guys have any extra information, if you want to disagree with me and say, hey, I don't think that's important, by all means, go ahead. And I'll just share my screen and do that.
Josh, I don't think analytics are important, man.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No, analytics. Boo earns to analytics. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I'll go look at Search Console here of this site. And for those folks who are watching on the podcast, just verbally or just listen to the audio, I'll try and read out what I'm looking at so you can see what the heck is kind of going on here. Okay, so I'm assuming you guys can see the Search Console there?
Yep.
Yep.
I'll even present it to everyone. Okay, so here we go. Here's one thing about Search Console. And I have kind of this philosophy that I go by when it comes to Search Console. If you see an error in it, it's usually a good idea to read that and to figure out what the error is and why it's there, because it might be important. You know, I operate under the philosophy that Google doesn't want to tell SEOs how to do SEO because they don't want to give away any secrets. But remember, these guys have gone to conferences with us for 20 years, and we've been drinking beers back and forth, and Google likes to think that they're A, the good guys, and B, really cool, and they like to give SEOs kind of, you know, a bunch of like bones. They throw us bones every now and then, and as they have for myself and for other people who've been in the industry for a very long time. And so I know on good authority that they're putting important stuff in Search Console, and remember, Google doesn't do anything unless it benefits them, and it benefits them to have good sites ranking at the top. And so any help they can give you without giving away the secret sauce, they're going to do that by the way of Search Console and Google Analytics. So let's go back to the Search Console here. And like I said, if you see that there is an error, you want to take a look at what that is. Now, in this particular case, the hreflang tags are very important. If you want hreflang to set up right, to work properly, you're going to have to set that up. Otherwise, it's not going to work properly. hreflang, of course, is some HTML tag you put on your site to describe different languages you can serve the site in. And so if you don't have that, and it's notoriously hard to set up. Have you guys ever tried to set up hreflang before?
Avoid that.
Yeah.
It's pretty annoying because if you don't have it exactly right on every page, it doesn't work for any of them. So you have to have it copied exactly right on every page, and you have to define the proper languages. And if it's not exactly the same on every page, you're going to have a problem. And this is not going to rank. You're not going to have the Spanish version ranking. You're not going to have the French version ranking, whatever you want. Okay, here's the other stuff that I look at. First off, I look at structured data. If you have some structured data markup errors, this is an issue. Now, structured data is really important to set up if you can, because it gives Google that kind of extra little boost, that extra little information that what is a product page, what is a web page, what is a review page, what is a blog page, what is an article page, what your company entity is. This helps start fleshing out your entity that we're talking about. What your company entity is. Are you a local business? Are you an organization? Or what kind of organization? Oh, you're a swimming pool contractor. You can tell them all that by the microdata, the structured data that you decide to set up. And so it's a pretty good factor and a good way to start, at least, filling out that kind of entity that we've been talking about. That's so important for Google ever since their Hummingbird update in June 2013. The next thing I look at here is our HTML improvements. I just glance at this.
Wait. Say it about the Hummingbird update again. What was that?
So on June 2013, Google completely rewrote their search algorithm, and it was called Hummingbird. And Hummingbird is the algorithm that was based on actually other information that Matt Cutts leaked at the time about their very super fast database retrieval algorithms they've been working on.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they call it Hummingbird, because it's a fast little algorithm that goes to a web page, quickly eats it, and digests the entities and brings it back to the database. And when people request it, it quickly brings that entity database back to the shard collection that they spew out and give you the search results, right?
Well, it also has to do with the user experience in the search results as well. But what were you saying about the structured data correlating with that?
So the structured data is one way you can give Google a leg up as to what kind of entity you are. That's all the stuff you're seeing in here, right? So it's one way. It's not the only way, and you don't have to do it. But if you don't have it set, I definitely think it's a no-brainer. If it takes 5 minutes to do. So this is how you tell Google that this is a blog page, this is an article page, I am a local business, I am an organization, I'm a swimming pool contractor. Those are direct ways you can tell Google that that's what your entity is all about. The other thing that I was talking about here was I take a quick look at the duplicate meta descriptions, which is not fantastic to have, only because it's not an SEO penalty or any kind of demotion or anything like that, as far as I know, and as far as anybody has ever said. It's just that it's not going to get the click-through rate, right? If you're not fleshing out your snippet with a call to action and the 5 psychology power words to boost conversion, then they're not going to click on your result, and they're not going to go to your site. So that's why this is important, is that you just want to pimp out your meta description and pimp out your title tag, so that not only does it have the keyword in it, which is always important and still important, but it's the keyword that human beings are looking for and they're going to click on.
Super, super important, people. Take note. That's the new
Somebody
SEO
asked if I can make this bigger. How's that? Does that look better? Is that more readable?
It's a little more readable, yeah.
Oh, I can make it even bigger, I guess. I don't know what that's.
You know what the weird thing is about Search Console is, like, it doesn't always pick up. Like, if you do a streaming frog crawl, you can find like hundreds of indexed pages without meta descriptions, but like in Search Console, it'll show like 3.
Yeah, you don't want to rely on it as an only, but especially with like the CTR data that's available in the console and other things, it's getting that much more important, because those CTR numbers are becoming that much more important as everything is dialed up like Fred is doing right now. So even though they leave a ton of data out when it comes to link, when it comes to other things, but to me, it's still extremely important to be inside of your console and looking at your positioning and your click-through rates and things like that. So
yeah, I'm just saying, like, in terms of the HTML improvements, it seems like they really need to like work on that.
They need to work on a lot.
They do.
So here are the duplicate title tags, and again, it's the exact same issue. Is that one, you want to make sure your keyword for that page, whatever that topic of that page is, or what some people call the theme, some people on this Hangout. That's very important for one. Not only it's still a major area for a keyword, just for a boost from just semantic latent indexing, but also, again, it's the keyword that people want to see. Now, when we look at these title tags, so one, it's bad that they're duplicated on different pages, because again, we're not optimizing for the clicks that we want to see. But there's also some other issues here. One, I don't think it's a great idea to always have your pool builder of Texas, maybe at the back of the title tag. It depends on what you want to optimize for.
That should be, in my opinion, that should be his brand name.
Yeah, if anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that is the site is called Your Pool Builder, so I guess that is his brand name. And he's putting Texas in there. Instead of putting Texas in there, I think it would be more important to say your pool builder for 2017. I think the date signal would be more important than the location, but maybe not.
Well, I would even go to say that I would have to look at the page content before I could even make that decision on any of that.
Yeah.
True. Okay, well then let's look at this one then. This is the page.
It also looks like he might be targeting like the same keywords too specifically on each page.
Yeah,
which is going to end up cannibalizing.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. So not only duplicate content is not as much an issue as duplicate purpose. John Mueller has specifically said, and it just makes sense, not to have 5 different pages all going for the same keyword, because you're splitting all your signals. You're making Google make a choice which one to rank. You know, you have to use some judgment there. For example, I just did an audit for a client, and he had 5 different pages going for different kind of security software. Now, if it's security marketing software, it's different than security financial software. So you can have two different pages about that. But if you'll have a page security marketing software, and then another page, software marketing security, like you're trying to hit the same keywords, just in variations, Google is definitely going to have an issue with that. In fact, I think they're going to actually demote that slightly because you're making it more difficult for them. What do you guys think?
Angel Cruz and I, and then Jimmy Kelly sometimes too. We run the same test multiple times of the same site types, but with title tag optimization and kind of what we just saw on that web console. And it absolutely every time never fails. When there is cannibalization, if you're trying to rank a homepage or another internal page for the term that is being cannibalized throughout the site, the budget is going astronomical every time. So it's definitely a matter of, if you're going for certain keywords on certain pages, you're not cannibalizing. If you're going for a directory style site that is targeting the same terms in multiple locations, then cannibalization becomes okay because of the way the queries work on the smaller queries. But 100% is going to cost you more to rank for pen tier pull products on this domain that we're looking at, rather than if you just optimize correctly for that keyword on an individual page.
And if you look at it from like a user standpoint, somebody goes to Google and they type in, marketing software. If there's 5 pages all targeting the same thing, they're not going to know which one to go to. But there is something that's called topical focus, where you do want your architecture to replicate whatever niche you're going for. So
yes,
if you can semantically relate your main keywords to the keywords you're targeting, that's almost better. Actually, it is better than going in and trying to target everything for the same thing. Unless it really is the same thing, then you would just want to use the canonical tags, which is why they were created.
Yes, I would. In that case, I would use what I call the mini site strategy, where you have a main topic like best PHP CMS, and you have a sub page, why PHP CMS, how to optimize your PHP CMS, the best 2016 PHP CMSs, and they all interlink together. So you have this kind of ranking cluster that some people say gives you a boost, and I've seen gives a boost, like a 1 to 2 page boost, because you've fleshed out the semantic there.
But they're all specifically unique.
Yeah, they're all unique. They're all on slightly different topics, but they're logically related. And remember, Google is nerds from way back. They like information to be logically related with an H1 and a paragraph and a table of contents and all that kind of stuff. Clint, you look like you have something you want to say. You're pensive.
No, I'm good. I'm just tracking along. I do that, the same thing, but I use the people also ask feature on Google search terms. So I go to my search, my target term, see what it is, and if there's people also asking there, and I got my 5 supporting pages right done for me, essentially. So that's
a pro tip right there. That's a great tip.
Perfect.
I personally also like it if either people also ask or questions from other sites that deliver the same style of questions, or using salient entities to the topic as well. So if you are using salient entities to the main entity, underneath that, the same effect gets pushed out there. And I think personally, as a whole document, it becomes more well-rounded for them, for rank brain fodder, essentially, to go ahead and disambiguate what the whole damn document's about. So.
Okay, so I'm not crazy about the way these titles are written. I would try to write them a little bit better for click-through rate, to try and entice people clicking. Now, it's a little bad example because this is a local ranking site, and so his title tags are not even going to show up in the map pack. It's just his business name is, and so that's kind of a different beast. But that's if it was just for the sake of having titles in the Google search, I would write them in a way so that you get better click-through rate, preferably. Okay, so now let's move on to the meat of the matter. So, of course, the search analytics is where Google shows you your rankings. It's not going to look very nice because I got it bumped up here for maximal so people can see what's going on here.
Sort by the 90 days, Josh.
What?
Sort by 90 days.
Want me to show the 90 days? Sure. So what you would look at here, you could look at 90 days here if you like. It depends on what you're doing. If you want to look at 90 days or more, you can see here he's actually had some minor boosts. If you want to disambiguate the noise, you just unclick this stuff here, and you can see, okay, his position is not great. So obviously this is something he wants to improve. It's kind of slowly getting better over time.
But that's all of his positions on average, Josh.
Yeah, those are his positions on average. Of course, it could be entirely different. So let's go back to here. I just want to look at the 28 days, in fact.
That's pretty accurate when you looking up. I looked up his rankings, and it's pretty accurate for his average position. He's got a couple of outliers in there, but it's almost right on.
Yeah, so we can see he's got some page 1 rankings here. for local stuff, for pool builders, Montgomery, Huntsville. And then again, a lot of rankings that are on page 2 and 3 and stuff like that.
So one of the things you can see right there, Josh, at the very first query, pool builders, and we got 10 clicks, 135 impressions, 7.4 click-through rate, 7 position. So if the click-through rate's really high, that's pretty much an automatic win to know that you don't really have to spend a lot of time doing click-through rate optimization or title tag changes, at least in my opinion. So that could be way more of internal link building, citation building, building competitive links around what other people are building around that area. And then also probably some maybe some on-page content and building out the service pages as well.
What was the position on that one there, Chase? I didn't catch the position with 7%.
It looked like it was position 7 with a 7% click-through rate, which
it's 7.6 is the ranking there.
Yeah, I agree. I would do the on and off page that you're going to do, and then reevaluate the click-through, and then start working on the click-through rate to try to overtake the people above them at that point once you've gotten everything else that the page needs, since he's on page 1 already.
He's supposed to be. Let's see if it shows up when I click on it. Of course, I'm not in the proper geographic location. I'm about as far away as you can almost get and still be on the same landmass. So that's maybe a bad example, but I might disagree slightly with you guys there. 7.4% click-through rate is not that bad. Don't get me wrong. It's much better than 2%, which is what you normally see, right, or something like that. But I would still try and get it higher. But again, at the same time, I would rewrite all the title tags. I'd pick the top 10 and rewrite them, and I'd pick the top 100, rewrite them, just for the sake of rewriting them to make sure that it's going to be optimized for that kind of a thing. But then again, that's more of a white hat-ish thing to do. So that could just be a philosophical kind of tactical difference between the two different kind of groups.
I get a little more nervous link building when they're up there. On page, not so much. But once the on page would be handled, I think that working and trying to get at least like 4 or 5%, not that we can know what his top, the one above him is at, but try to get a few percent above the guy above him is what would be the ultimate goal after the on page is handled, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, you have to kind of do the on page first. But I mean, so, but not to split hairs, but yeah, but 7.4% is not that bad for sure. Like there's definitely worse ones, but he's way lower on different pages. So it's not comparing apples to apples. I just want to show this. Sorry guys, 1 second. I just want to show this tip here. So if you want to know, let's say like, okay, these are all my rankings, but how is my desktop ranking? How's my mobile ranking? Well, of course you can tailor all that here, right? So if I go to devices, you can see just at a glance, his mobile is ranking position 25 on average. He's getting way more impressions on his desktop, although his ranking on desktop is far worse. And so if you just want to focus on his desktop, you can do that by clicking desktop, then going back to queries, and you'll see the queries that he's ranking for on desktop. And it looks like actually it's like, as I said, it's being seen far more, but it's actually far worse rankings when you take a look at it. Not only that. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to give one of my best Search Console tips on this. So can you reset the devices really quick?
Yep.
So if you filter by 90 days.
Filter, 90 days.
Go to the top clicked keyword, Pool Builder Livingston.
Yep.
Go to Pages.
Yep.
Click on the one that's getting all the clicks.
Yep, this one here.
Yeah. And then go back to Queries.
Yep.
And then reset the pages, but keep the queries.
Reset top pages?
Yeah.
Yep.
So now if you scroll down.
It doesn't have any data.
Or sorry. Fuck. Go back to the pages.
That was a lot of clicks, man.
Sorry, just go back to pages really quick. This is going to be one more second. Just go back to pages. Go click on that page again.
Yeah.
Go back to queries and then reset the queries, not the pages.
While we're clicking, I'm getting comments from people like Jimmy Kelly and other people that they love your dinosaurs, Josh.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, so this is one of the things you can do for click-through rate optimization is now you can see all the pages, and if there's any high click-through rates or any certain impressions that people are finding, of course, it's a really low data pool, but you can use things like this to put in your qualifiers. So like, for instance, Pool Builder Livingston TX, that has a 22% click-through rate, so you'd probably want to put that to the very left of your title, but then you can see that Google's also giving us impressions on other keywords as well. So we could semantically relate that in our title and also in our headings or whatever we want to do. And it would improve our score, or not our score, but hopefully help us rank higher.
Right. Yeah. I have a similar way of doing that. Maybe not quite as complex. That's because Chase is more complex individual than I am, possibly, or younger and more clicky. You millennials and you're clicking. But what he's showing us right now is that, keep in mind, this is just the queries that this particular page we clicked on is ranking for in the last 90 days. And so we can filter it by pages. So if I reset this to pages, if I go just to 28 days, so if I want to see what pages are ranking, I just click pages and it tells me what pages are ranking. If I want to see, so this one's getting the most clicks, the most impressions. It's probably the same one we're on. If I go back to queries here, it's going to tell me the queries that just this page is ranking for here. And again, that's pretty much, I guess, the same way of looking at the same stuff that we're just looking at.
Yeah,
it's just tell me what that page is ranking for.
It's just excellent for click-through rate optimization because you get to see everything that it's showing up for and whether or not there's impressions or if there's click-through rates on it. Yeah,
no, I agree entirely. It is that's one of the better parts of this tool. This tool, Search Console, that people don't realize is that you can see the queries you're ranking for. You can also see the pages that you're ranking for. Okay, so let's quickly go through kind of the rest of this stuff in here. Links to your site. I wonder if that's important for SEO.
I never do linking.
Yeah, linking. That's so 2007.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of links. He's got some Pinterest links. That's fantastic. Yellow Pages, in this case, fantastic. Blogspot, I would not be very happy about, but Clint and the Black Hat guys there might disagree with me.
If it's his themed blogspot or it's his own blogspot, that's fine. Like the complete blogspot spam, I try and stay away with if I'm looking for domains.
Especially if there's traffic being pushed around through their persona and on the Google accounts that they have there. You know, look in some of the stuff that Marco from Semantic Mastery teaches and shit like that. It absolutely can be beneficial. The more transparency you can give Google when it comes to your main entity, the better off you're going to be. When they can see things going around and positive signals moving around and stuff, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be the ongoing debate. I'm going to take a more white hat approach and be like, stay away from anything like that unless you really know what you're doing. You guys probably wouldn't disagree with that.
What about a themed to your brand blog spot where it's just an extension of your brand? What are your thoughts there?
Again, it's sorry, Clint, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just waiting.
He's ready to jump in. Yeah, again, so I hate to echo John Mueller in this case, but I guess I will. I feel a little dirty doing it. Not good dirty, bad dirty. And not good bad
that's
dirty.
Still a good dirty.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean. If you're spending time doing that, you're not spending time making your website better. You're not spending time improving your website. But that being said, let's say you've already done all the on-page stuff that Mike talked about, and you've already optimized your title tags. You've already made your site as good as possible. Then yeah, you're going to need some off-site signals. And if you're not generating that organically because people are just not being kind, which they never are, whoever builds links these days organically, then you might have to artificially inflate that, and that's where I might start mumble, go gray hat or black hat. But
it also starts thinking of even staying strictly white hat when you do create your Google My Business. Say you're a local entity and you're using your Blogspot account to do the event calendar for the location and the city that you live in, and you're pulling that feed into your main website and it's tied in directly like that. So there are times when it becomes something that can be 100% a part of your campaign and fit your daily flow, and still build your website at the same time while you are using those properties. And nepotism's nepotism. They love when you use their tools.
Is this the Trump administration we're talking about? Do we switch topics or something?
Yeah.
Wait, so we're all agreeing that you should create like 10 if this then that networks and syndicate all of your blog posts across like 10 tiers of blog networks, right?
No. Not agreeing on that.
There's a contentious topic. I could see that. That could be a whole nother show right there.
But links are good, guys. I thought links were good.
Links are
not all links are created equal.
Clint, now you were going to jump in.
Honestly, I think here's my perspective on this, and you guys can take it for what it's worth, but the four of you are all in what I would consider positions of leadership in our market. So when you make broad, open-ended statements like blogspot.com is bad for your site, it's honestly, to me, that sends the wrong impression. I think there's a place for Blogspot. It's a syndication area for you. One, you can publish and notify about your content. And let's face it, just because you write excellent, great content, I can write Neil Patel or all those other guys content just as good as those guys can. But if no one sees it, then who gives a shit, you know? So I think that's where I think us as an industry and the leaders in that industry need to stand up and stop making broad statements, make specific statements that are actually going to help business owners and these younger guys that are coming into SEO more effective. And that's where I stand on that. Blogspot is good if you make it branded, if you build it out like a website, if you're syndicating to it properly. But
I just try and rank my blog spot, and then it helps you even more.
Yeah.
And then there you go.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I hear what you guys are saying.
I mean, I have blog spots that have people that commented on them back in the day, like Vanessa Fox and things like that. So I will tell you that when used in conjunction, I'm throwing any black hats or capes off because I like capes better than hats, but I'm throwing all black off of me. Like when you look at a property that is owned by the system that you want to rank you, using their tools in manners that tie into the whole campaign so that there is actual usage of the tool for that brand is a very good thing because they see this. It's the same thing as, you know, going back towards like social data hub partners, things that Google can see, good metrics that Google can see are always going to be a benefit if you are doing them in a way that shows good metrics directly to the beast, right? So when I look at it, and I think Clint was spot on saying in general, you can't say in general it's good, it's bad or not. It all comes down into how you are using it and what it is where it's being implemented. And so people coming into the industry and Chase saying we got 10 IFTTT networks, this and that. Yes, if someone's saying go out and just throw out 10 IFTTT networks and pay no attention to the theme that's going on in it or the traffic that's flowing through it or how it's being used, then yes, you're going to take stuff. It's like using RSS in a poor way. If you go out and have a new site and you do this huge RSS push, I'm going to push my RSS everywhere. Well, if your site's not in the right place for that, I've seen it take sites hundreds of times. I've also seen it absolutely increase sites hundreds of times as well, but that's because they're being used in the right place at the right time in the campaign. So yeah, the broad statements are too hard to deal with. It was spot on.
True, and I take that point that, you know, we do have to be careful about making any statements, never mind broad statements. But at the same time, just to disagree slightly, who knew I would do that, right? Given that the show is called White Hat versus Black Hat, who knew that? At the same time, though, I think you guys would admit that setting up any of these more advanced Black Hat stuff, including using Blogspot, it's very difficult to do, or can be difficult to do. It can be very time consuming, and not only can they mess it up because it's difficult to do if they don't do it right, it's time consuming and it's taking away from doing other stuff that we all admit that has to be done. The basic white hat quality stuff has to be done first.
Yeah, go ahead, Chase.
I was just gonna say, and I think it also has to do with like how much of a great experience are you providing for the people who are looking for your stuff. And I think the best way to do that, like I said before, is to create like 20 if this then that networks on Blogger and just send all of that no, it's a total joke.
You, dude.
I just think it's funny because it seems like so many people think of like, how can I just make this work? And I always rant about this. So get ready for the hand.
Oh, it's now time for rant hand.
We need a sound effect. We need a sound effect. Like,
hang on, I've got sound effect machines. What do you want?
He has the machine for you. Hold on.
I don't know, some kind of rant hand, like a whoosh or something like that.
I'm looking. Hang on, I may have.
Oh my God!
I'll look. You go ahead with your rant. I'll find the perfect.
All right, perfect.
Man.
All right, rant hand. Go.
That disrupted my train of thought, though. Now I don't know where I'm at.
I have 19 networks, 10 of them.
We blocked his.
What I was gonna say is that it seems like most of these things, it's like you spend all this time trying to figure out whether or not they're gonna work or not, and really I think people get lost in whether or not something's gonna help. the search engines and whether it's going to actually help the people. And I get all these people all the time asking me, like, how can I rank my websites? How can I make money? How can I do this? And it's like, dude, just stop thinking about that. How can you give these people what they're looking for? And it's not that easy. I mean, things are a lot more technical than that.
How do you find
make
these people?
money.
How do
What's
these
that?
how do these people find you? I think it's a great guideline when you're writing your content. Write for the people so that it converts, it solves their problem. Everything that you're saying is perfect. What I contend with the white hat community is, how do those people find that great content?
Right, and that's why I said a lot more goes into it. And I mean, Clint and I apparently.
But that's the problem. That's the problem, is that everybody getting into this industry wants it to be easy.
Yeah.
They want us to tell them the secret steps in 5 steps, no more than 5 steps, because they don't have any more time to read than that. And so we have to break everything down into just generalizations and these bold kind of, just focus on quality, just focus on marketing. That's your argument right now, right?
Well, what I'm saying is that, like, look, you can focus on these things that might work, like creating the blogger networks or syndicating your content, all this stuff, which is why I was being sarcastic about it. And it might work, right? Which is great, you know, and maybe your stuff is really good and it's really providing a lot of value to these people. I mean, I'm fine with that. The only thing I'm saying is, like, look, you know, it's a lot to figure out. And in the end, is Blogger really going to be like what you feel is going to be a really great representation of what you're really going for your business and your products and all that stuff? And is your market really going to be spending a lot of time on there? Maybe it's not. Maybe you're just doing it for the links. All I'm trying to say is that in most cases, from what I've found, and I've been working with a lot of different SEO clients, is that, you know, it seems to me that if you're providing really good stuff for people, and you're of course taking into considerations, you know, your on page, your off page, you know, your branding, all that stuff, things generally seem to go a lot better long term than the short term trying to figure out whether or not I should be doing 20 syndication networks or all these PBN links and all this stuff. And I'm not saying that I think that it's morally wrong to do PBNs or do the expired domains or whatever it is. I think, you know, it's great if you guys know how to do that and you're really providing value to people. I mean, you know, it's whatever. I'm just saying out of my own experience what's worked for me, and as what's worked as a long-term strategy and has really provided me and the people that I work with a lot of great stuff, is that we go and really try to focus on what the people are looking for and how to give them good stuff, and then how to make the stuff rank for that without really spending a lot of time trying to work on things that may not be longer term.
Whatever tactic you use, Chase, your end of that is correct. Whatever tactic you use should be done based on providing a user the right content in front of their eyes. And the way that I tell people that are new coming in, and if they want to go off and they want to do something, if they can explain to me exactly how that process is going to turn into money for them or the end user or the consumer, the client, at the end of the day, then it is a safe tactic. If they can't directly come to me and say, well, this can't turn into money, then I'm not going to say that's something I want them doing. And that's kind of how we treat everybody, everything. If I'm going to build an expired domain, then that expired domain needs to be making money or at least paying for itself, right? So everything should be looked at from a monetary and a value standpoint. So I in a way, I agree with you there. Do a little bit different methodology, but everything should be looked at from, is this going to get the right message to the right person and turn into money? And that's all it should come down to. And that is how I kind of judge tactics. Is it going to turn into money for the client or myself? And if I could sum up this point, and then hopefully I can get Search Console at least today finished. We didn't even get a chance to look at Google Analytics. I mean, so to me, it seems like it's all a business decision, right? It's a SWOT analysis, right? It's return on investment. So yeah, you have to have the quality there. You have to have a good business there. You have to be providing what people want to begin with. But yeah, Clint's right. You're going to have to do some marketing. Right? People are not just going to donate you links and donate you traffic. You have to have something good, and you have to be able to talk to them about that. So let me just try and see if I can finish Search Console here. Or I actually asked the chat. No one answered me, so I'm going to keep going with Search Console. Share screen, where is it? Okay, here we go. Okay, so that was our lively discussion about links, which I knew it would be lively.
Blogspot.
Blogspot. Let's go to internal links. So here's another important thing here that I don't know if you guys quickly agree or disagree. So for me, what is this site doing? Is it a sales site or is it an informational site? If this is a sales site, if these are the pages down here you want to rank the most, I think the majority of the internal link juice should be going to these pages, and that's what John Mueller says too. Not to use the appeal to authority, but I'm going to appeal to the authority of John Mueller in saying that whatever pages you think are the most important, or that your business is about, or that you want to rank the highest, these are the pages that should get the most internal link juice, and they should be linked from the index page. In fact, this index page should have links to the 5 top pages or the 5 top things on this site, and that should be, I'm assuming, for a local site like this, services. The blog should not be getting so many links, unless you want to rank as a blog site and just informational, and not rank or be telling Google, no, focus on these kinds of things. This is what I want to be ranking for. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Well,
that was a dangerous. Do you agree? Well,
how do I word this?
It's not the number of links.
I want my links in strategic locations.
There you go.
Follow them to as many places as possible.
And contextual links with actual text around it versus just click here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
want my links pointing at places that are very strategic on the website. So that could be an individual that could be an individual post, or it could be a page that has, say, a mashup of posts or something like that. Because I want
but
to
I think
power.
we're saying the same thing.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
I
good. Are we not? Are we
I
not?
don't know. I thought you were saying that you didn't want your links at the blog and things like that. I thought that's
I don't
what
want, on a service-based site or a sales-based site, I don't want the blog to be getting the majority of the internal link juice and the external link juice routed through it to the blog, when the blog is not making them any money, not what they want to rank in the first place.
Guys, background on Josh. He doesn't believe in blogs for local companies. So
Who, me?
that's one of the things that is kind of
No, I
debated
know.
here
Yes, I know.
continuously.
That
Who
is
makes blogs for
illogical.
local companies?
I'm appealing to Leonard Nimoy for this.
What the heck?
What I'm saying is I'm not just looking at the target of the link. I'm looking at what's around the target of the link. So my link go in a different location based upon what I want certain things to flow throughout the website. So I do it a little bit different than I did, 14 years ago or whatever, when I was doing it directly, But yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I without digging into a whole freaking rant about certain things, then yes, I agree with you in most cases.
Okay, thank you. We'll never resolve that. That's another show. That's another show. We've got like 5 shows planned out of this one show here. Okay, so manual actions in Search Console, very important. If you have some, this is the only place you can tell. You got to have this installed so you can see this at the very least. International targeting, very important. The country you want to target. If you're a local ranking for a country, you definitely want to have this set in here. It will give you a slight boost in that country. If you want to rank in Canada, however, or for all English-speaking nations, then you don't want to have this selected, because if Google thinks you're just relevant for the United States, you will bubble down slightly in those other places, and you will bubble up in the United States. Mobile usability.
What if you like bubbles?
Yes, bubbles are nice. Again, you want to make sure you don't have any mobile errors in here. So basically, I mean, I could go on and on. Basically, everything in here is important. The index status is important. How many pages you have indexed. You don't want to lose a lot of pages. If you lose a lot of pages, well, then they're not going to rank anymore.
Look at the crawl rates.
Yeah, blocked resources. Again, you don't want to be blocking. This is not good. You should turn this off. Whatever you're blocking, don't block it anymore. Just let Google crawl your JS and CSS. I really do think they have a filter for, or it's one step in like a static kind of quality algorithm. I really do think that you should just let them see your CSS and JS, unless you're doing some nasty black hat, nefarious, immoral things. That was a purposeful jab at the black hats. Crawl errors, definitely this is important. Not found here is important. Not for the WP content stuff. This is not important. But if these are pages like this page here. If this page, oh, wait a minute. He's also repeating the keyword quite a bit in here, pool.
No.
Yeah, that's not a good idea either. But my point here was, if you're getting external link juice pointing to these pages, you definitely want to 301 these pages to new pages, so you're saving all your link juice that you might be losing because of this.
And don't let your developers tell you that that's not the case. Developers trying to tell you that that's not the case, or HTTPS should be like this or that. So stand your SEO ground and do what you know you're supposed to do.
I almost had to make a flight out somewhere just to bully someone into agreeing with me recently.
Brad, you know.
Yeah, I like doing it. So I
This
just
is
wait.
Austin. This is Austin, Texas pools, Brad. Did you notice that?
Oh no, I think it's like a near me site.
Yeah,
Oh.
Targeting a bunch of them. Yeah.
There you go. Mark, you can call Brad, maybe he'll do SEO for you if you can afford his exuberant rates. Here's another pro tip that John Mueller has mentioned a number of times. If you select by detected, this is Google telling you what they think are the important pages on this website. For the most part, of course, they don't think this WP content is actually important. But this can, for more robust, healthier websites, this can tell you what pages they think are important / have the ranking juice / have the link juice. Crawl stats, this is very important. As a general rule of thumb, I like to see this low number to be about at least 10% of this number here. That's just my own from the ass kind of determination. I do hundreds of audits a year, and I like to see, for the most part, this to be like 130, because this is 1,300. 60 is not bad. If this was 0, that'd be a problem. If you guys agree or disagree, by all means. Also, I don't like to see it take 2.5 seconds for Google to request your page and get it back. That is also, they're definitely going to throttle your crawl rate based on this. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually believe, I have no proof of this, but I actually believe there could be an actual direct ranking factor for that. Because think about it, if Google has 5 sites to rank, they're all more or less equal, but this site takes 2.5 seconds for them to crawl a page, so they throttle the crawling, so they don't know what's there as well as they do for the 4 other pages, they're going to rank the 4 other pages better.
Yeah, and if there is anything in the time that also affects the user engagement as well, it's going to have a counteract. It's going to have an effect with that as well. So there's going to be multiple angles in there, I think, that it hits at the site at, personally.
Yeah, I think so. Fetches Google. This is very important to do. I would fetch and render as mobile, because the mobile first index is going to be coming out very soon. And while that's pending, I would check the URL parameters. Other black hats on the call, other SEOs on the call, how much do you guys look at the URL parameters in here? You guys ever take a look at this?
Nope.
Hold on, let me get back to where you're at. Pull up the screen. I guess it's just Chase being in his prison cell.
He's in solitary confinement. That was obviously a trick question. It doesn't matter for every website, of course, but there's a lot of large e-commerce sites, big white hat kind of clients I do SEO for. And especially back in 2011, when they thought it was like Panda hitting them, it was actually Google automatically looking at the URL parameters and de-indexing like 100,000 pages on their site.
It's a huge spider trap, especially back before they did start to use next and previous. It was one of the biggest things you would find, and when looking at people's crawl budget and crawling their sites, is realizing that they're spending all their time in a freaking next and previous loop spider trap. And so it's like absolutely one of the easiest wins you can find when you find them and fix them.
Yeah, so it's just something to watch out for. I definitely watch out for it. So let's go back to Fetches Google here. And let's see if it's okay. So now I want to take a look at how they render it. If no one has ever looked at this before, you click on that little check mark, and Google will show you actually how they render your page. And this shows you want to make sure these views, how Googlebot saw the page and how a visitor sees the page, you want to make sure these views are exactly the same. John Mueller has made it very clear in his Hangouts that if that is not the same, you are going to have a ranking issue. They consider that, technically they consider that cloaking. So this needs to look exactly the same as this, and you can check both in desktop and in mobile. I checked in mobile because, as I said, very soon the mobile first index is coming along. Also, another tip, he mentioned that anything of medium or higher severity in the blocked here is something you need to watch out for, and you could very well have a ranking problem, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you see anything of a medium or high severity in here. Low severity, you don't necessarily have to worry about. And finally, security issues is the last thing in here that I look at. You just want to make sure they haven't found that you have any hacked content. If you have some hacked content, then that's going to be a problem. So that's about as much as we can get through today. I wanted to do Google Analytics as well, but there's so much good information we were talking about that I just couldn't get to it. So maybe in a future either hangout of my own or a future White Hat versus Black Hat hangout, we can take a look at it. So let's move on finally to the end of the day. What are your final thoughts, guys? What are your final thoughts on what we talked about today, or just your final thoughts overall?
I think it's time to leave a like.
Yes. Chase was here to cajole you with his rant hand. Brad, do you have a sound effect?
I've got a bunch. Hang on, let me try this one.
You hear that sound, ladies and gentlemen? That's the like sound. If you guys can like the page faster than everybody else,
wait, hey Josh,
the series will give you good luck and come down to the heavens.
There's actually in the control room you can use there's sound effects on the Hangout you can do too.
Yeah, that's a millennial thing to do.
That's a millennial thing to do. The non-millennial thing to do is to search SEO Austin if you want to near me.
I think I'm technically a millennial. But.
Yeah, I was about to say, does that make Brad a millennial?
Actually, It depends on, like, Wikipedia. Depends on the website you go to. Some say Gen X, some say Gen Y, some say millennial. They all cross over the dates.
83. It's 80.
You were born in 83?
No, not me. That's the millennial cutoff, I believe.
Oh, okay.
You're 84. I had to look it up when I met Brad.
No, I am. Yeah, 86. So.
I find it hilarious getting older because all the stuff that the baby boomers used to say, now I find myself saying it. And pretty soon Chase will be saying all the stuff that I used to say. Those ancient Gen Xers with the grays increasingly showing up in the beard.
Can I give away something free today?
Yes, Mike, please give away something free.
If someone searches SEO Austin and finds one of my friends in the SERPs and emails them and says, Mike had said, hey, email me, then I will get on a phone call with them for 45 minutes and take a look at their website with them or answer any other questions they might have.
Also, there's a internet marketing conference in Vegas. It's on the May 5th to the 7th. If any of you guys want to go to that, I can send a link to you. But yeah, it's gonna.
I would like to, but I've been banned from Vegas for life.
It's going to be a good conference, and I will vote. They do put out good content, but actually, Brad and I are no longer allowed.
What did you guys do?
Yeah, that's not going to be on air.
There sometime and talk about it.
Oh man.
It was
that story will be told on another show, probably one where we have to have like X-rated show, and there'll have to be some kind of reenactment with strippers and things like that.
It was more funny stuff, but
what?
Clint, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I was just thinking to myself, how black hat do you have to be to get kicked out of Vegas? So
I swear I do my marketing like you, Clint. It's not much different, dude.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. This has been White Hat versus Black Hat SEO show. I would like to thank everyone on the panel. My co-host, as always, Chase, Clint for showing up, Mike and Brad for showing up. Thanks for all the excellent tips you guys provided and the discussion. Thanks for watching. For all the people who put everything in the chat, thank you very much. Tune in next week when maybe Steve will be finally sobered up from whatever bender he's on, and he might tell us some Facebook stuff. Who knows what'll happen?
He won't be sober, but he might be here.
After Steve gets back from rehab.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know what'll happen on the show. So I'd like to thank you guys again, and we'll see you in a future hangout. And as I always say, good luck in the SERPs, folks. Bye.
That is not what you always say.
I always say that.
You never say good luck in the SERPs, folks.
Oh, well, I don't. Okay, I added on the folks. I say good luck in the SERPs. That's what I normally say. I'm gonna rant hand on you. Give me a beluga, Brad.
Brad, you need it.
Wait. That's
that sounded like a rusty bed springs at a marriage.
I've got them all.
Yeah. Bing there. Thank you. Okay, enough. I'm turning off the show.
Yeah.
Everyone, go away.
Oh my God.